just to this trip. Yeah, Brandon House and, Oakland over there, the place. There's, right next, there's, Alzheimer place, and then the place next to it, they're pretty much in cahoots together, but. No, that, they said no, she isn't ready yet. She lost a lot of weight. We gotta get some, eating better. She's like 144, started like 160. Alrighty, go ahead and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rubio,
Present.
Councilmember Roberts,
Here.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Here.
Mayor Wynkoop.
Here. Would you like to do it right there first?
If you would join me in prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the blessings we see in our lives, and for the ones we've received but we may not yet recognize. Guide us in our thoughts and words and actions so that we may serve with wisdom, fairness, and humility. Let our feet follow in your steps. Also, we lift up the family of Lance Belcher. Please bring comfort and peace to his wife and his family. And I'd like to take this opportunity for those who wish to take a moment in silence and remember Lance and his family. I ask that you hear these prayers now, Lord. We serve as your most humble, Lord. We give you honor and praise. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right, we'll kind of move over to workshop discussion on strategic planning.
All right. So council, in your packet, Iman took some of the comments from the last meeting, kind of condensed them and put them together in this latest draft, and just looking for additional feedback or comment. The next step would be just having a public hearing and getting our community input on it from our residents.
Well, I think this one reads much better, flows much better than what I read in the past. And I think this one flows better. Got me now? Can you? I don't know what I don't know.
Check. Someone say something real quick.
Hello, hello. Hello? Carol?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a check. Mic check. Test. 1, 2. We're good. Thank you.
Brian, is the mic okay?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So our feed's definitely going out, so Jay, if you're listening, someone reported they can't hear it online, please check.
Can everybody hear him okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any more comments on strategic plan?
I don't have any. Anybody else? Brian?
So when are we planning on doing, I guess, the public part of it, or the public input?
Probably put it on the June meeting.
And how are we gonna, I guess, like, I'm just trying to visualize it, how are we gonna organize it? Is it just gonna be like 3 minutes, like, for people to come up, or?
More likely what I'll do is put it as a discussion, under discussions, and the council can elicit comments on it for any further updates, and the next one will be the resolution for adoption, which also would be a public hearing as well.
Would it be possible also to try to engage the public online, maybe? Like, in addition to, obviously, the discussion at the next meeting?
I mean, I'm definitely willing to put out there that we're having the hearing, or if they want to email stuff in. I don't want to get into a back and forth Facebook with all the sunshine stuff, so we can definitely put it on our, we'll put the plan on the Facebook and say we're discussing it. And in fact, I could even put, if you have any comments, they can definitely reach out to staff or council members to add to it.
And then in regards to, once this strat plan is adopted, what's the process for changes if they're needed in the future?
At any time, any council member could bring it up, and if three of you want to make a change, and it's good. It's meant to be, it's a forward-looking document. It's kind of, it's not meant to be in stone. It is meant to change. It's meant to just be kind of a guidepost, like, like it says in it, just to help give direction. We value our small town values. We value our community getting together, the overall arching themes. We value wanting to have good infrastructure. And, so then we have some break those down in details. And obviously any of those you can break down into further details as we go through.
I actually completed Emo 2, and funny thing is that this was actually on that training, was a strat plan, and it was taught by a person who actually does this for a living. He actually gets hired to do these strat plans. So it was quite interesting, the conversations that we had at that training. But one of the major points that I did take away from it is, and several, I guess, commissioners, because depending, I guess, the municipality, they use the word commissioners, they did point out that they do take this extremely serious when it comes to putting things on the agenda. And I'll say a good 30% of them did say that, and that's one of the first questions they ask when something is on the agenda, does it follow the strat plan? Does it impact the strat plan or not? So in other words, they keep it at the forefront of all their decisions. So it's just something I wanted to share. But as for any edits, I don't think I have anything.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Very, very good points. Thank you.
Grant, do you have any? Carol?
Nope, it is a living document.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We'll put it on for discussion at June with, guess it'd be possible adoption in July.
Sounds good. Move on to our town manager updates.
Thank you, Council. I got a few things I'm going to go over with you, like to review with you, and just give you some updates on a few things. As you're aware, every month, several of the city managers get together, almost all the city managers get together in Lake County, just to discuss common concerns and issues, and just kind of get ideas off each other. This last one, we were talking about service and a little bit about our memberships and things along that, and it's kind of just an interesting tidbit that kind of came out of it. As you know, we have 14 incorporated cities in Lake County. Of those, 13 have city managers. As of right now, I'm currently the 4th longest serving city manager in Lake County, which was actually surprising to me when we were running through all the city managers. Of those managers, less than half have earned credential manager status in Lake County. Last year, this is more on kind of personal, I didn't get a chance to ever share this last year, but last year I was recognized by the International City Manager Association for a decade of membership and service to them. And this past October, I was recognized by the FCCMA, which is Florida City County Manager Association, for 5 years of service and membership with them. So I just thought it'd be a good chance. I just want to, one, thank the council for the unwavering support for continuing education and growth and training that you provided to me and my staff. You guys have always found it very important during budget season, in this last budget, to make sure that there are funds, to make sure staff continues to grow and educate themselves and learn. I think it's been very beneficial to the town. So thank you for that. Just want to pass that on. We have, as you know, Mr. Frazier has asked for an appeal hearing to his fines. We've tentatively scheduled that for the 19th at 6:30. Figured it's probably will be about an hour for that hearing. I want to make sure that works for everybody's schedule.
Works for me.
That should be fine.
Okay.
Yep, that's
Carol,
my
Mayor, you
schedule.
good? Okay, thank you. The next little quick topic I want to talk about, and Iman, could you hand these out, please? I mentioned at the last meeting, I had a meeting with some of the downtown business owners just to kind of discuss some improvements or things that can be to attract, increase business to downtown, but also we have quite a few owners that are possibly looking at doing putting some major infrastructure and possible money into the downtown. And so the conversation was, as a town, what are some of the things that we can do? What are some of the things we can help? What's in our wheelhouse? You know, what are we looking for? There was two things, and some of these we can act on fairly quickly, and we're going to. The first thing is really some of the changes in our code that could make it more friendly toward development. I'm just going to give you the highlights because we're going to meet one more time, kind of put an ordinance together. Then the business owners want to come in and have a conversation with you guys about them. But increasing the amount of density they can put on, increasing setbacks on the downtown area so the buildings kind of be more interconnected without having spaces was a big theme. Increasing, obviously, the size they can put their buildings on the lots. There was this discussion, depending on what it would look like, if they could do a third story instead of two. Right now, we allow 35 feet, which technically you could put a third story up on 35 feet, but it would just be a little funky looking, where if they had a little more flexibility. Because a couple of them could envision where we'd have commercial on the bottom level, maybe offices on the second, then maybe kind of a third level that would have a little bit of residential, what you see in Winter Garden on some of their newer buildings that they have built there would be a possibility. There's a couple other minor code things that they felt would be helpful, just allow more flexibility on the uses on the downtown overlay. And so we focused on the overlay district, which is kind of this little heart of the downtown area. Then the other big thing that really came up is parking. Obviously the need for parking, because if they want to utilize most of their lot, they're going to have to set some aside for septic systems, which is going to take some property. Obviously, all of them mentioned, you know, sewer would be nice, but I kind of said that it's not going to happen, so we need to plan around that right now. But having leaving space for septic system, but if we can utilize more off-site parking. So our planning team is going to be, actually, we're going to start tomorrow. We're going to meet and identify all the parking spaces have and potential areas for parking, off-site parking that could be utilized. And the second big one is stormwater, because that's when we start getting into some issues where you have to use your land to obviously maintain the stormwater runoff. And one of our original facility planning studies that we did with Woodburn and Kern, one of those contemplations was for a downtown stormwater system that would be a collective system. So we already have some planning documents started on that, and that's something we can look at for some grant funding. But I just wanted to provide you the highlights of that meeting and just let you know further discussions going to come out of it. On Monday, our planning team is going to meet and discuss what some of those code changes could be and what would make sense for them based off that discussion. Then we'll bring those, start bringing those forward to planning and zoning. Any questions on that?
Just curious, how many, I guess, businesses were surveyed, or at least how many answered?
We had, 11 people in the room, I think, and about 5, but I think we had 5 that showed up. And there's some didn't make it, some didn't come, some were kind of outside that little downtown area, and that's one of the things we talked about, maybe spreading that net a little bit bigger. One of the focuses we really wanted to look on this meeting is people that are really wanting to invest money right now into downtown, that have property that they have bought, they have empty land, they're ready to do some stuff. And so we kind of wanted to hear, what's holding you back? What do we need to do to start engaging you, to start putting some money in the buildings? And it's the next meeting, definitely, it's one thing we talked about. Let's definitely get as much input as we can. There was a lot of invites, some people didn't show up, obviously.
Next time we have that, I noticed that none of the people that are renting the buildings were there, that have businesses in the buildings. I think we should invite those folks too, just to hear what their problems are, so that we can help them too.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of there's two things, how do we support businesses, existing businesses, and what does that business plan look like? Then, as a property owner, what are those things that are keeping you from developing, expanding, moving on? Some of that's related to what you're doing, and the other thing is just really related to some code and physical conditions on the ground. I definitely parking and stormwater was the biggest discussion and concern. The code changes, I think, in general are fairly minor and could be nice tweaks to make it really is needed to make the downtown look cohesive. And that's one of the things they talked about, should there be an overall theme? Should we, as we develop or we encourage this development, can we come up with, some type of, we don't want everything to look the same, but is there a general theme of what that would look like?
Yeah, they were all participating too. They were all happy to be
Yeah.
there.
They were very engaged. The meeting went on for a good hour and a half, I think,
Yeah.
for the total meeting. So it was very, very thoughtful. It's very exciting. I think we're at a good time. And really a few things that have changed, and you may have thought of that or not thought about it as a council, but there's some of the physical changes in the area are going to change the business and climate. And in the area, we now have the bridge that's open going to Mineola. So depending on type of business, there's thousands of customers there now that weren't there a year ago. So, the barbershop kind of brings, I can use them as an example. That's a perfect one because, driving to your barber, some of those people in Mineola drive to Claremont. So the right business, it would be a shorter drive to come here than go to Claremont for some businesses. Then love it or hate it, most people hate it, but, there's 3,000-4,000 houses being built around the corner there just past Ferndale in the Sugarloaf Mountain. And those are all potential customers into Montverde as well, and with the town now is going to be fully developed out basically with these last two developments done or pretty well near. That's going to change the landscape a little bit. So because it was for the last 10 years it's been fairly stagnant from a population growth number wise.
Well, in the past, I have talked about the possibility of putting a sign somewhere in the downtown area that kind of points you in the right direction to some of these businesses. I think I'd kind of like to see us move forward with that.
Yeah, and that's also one topic I brought up, signage, what can we do or look at signage? That's something we need to look at.
It's a small step, but it's one in the right direction.
Yeah, I would agree. And believe it or not, from a public point, we got to look at the signage a little careful because there's a lot of federal court rulings on signage of who can put what where, and you can't put one for one. You got to let all put one for something, and so there's a little more technical. So that's been on our list to improve and work on, and so that's something we're going to look at. Our entire sign code needs to be rehabbed completely. It's not current with current case law. Let's put it that way. So we need to get it updated.
Thank you.
And your point is taken. Yes, agree with you.
In that discussion, was anything about grants brought up? Like, for example, like the town possibly having some grants for certain business owners to, if they were to, let's say, remodel the front of their store or building, that obviously that could be applied towards that to kind of encourage it further. Was that brought up or?
Yeah, actually, there was a topic about funding, and facade grants do exist. That's something the town could even set up. There are some economic development tools you can do for that. There was also discussion about, improving the sidewalk areas where if, say, there was 2 or 3 different small restaurants, they can have a shared eating space outside. And, that would benefit them, because that's something the town could put in that would benefit various businesses. The CRA was brought up as a possible means as well, because CRA can actually fund facade grants. It could fund sidewalks, improvements, downtowns, maintenance, cleanup, everything. So that was something they would like to bring up and talk with council about. So if we ever did a CRA in the future, that would be included as a possibility. But yeah, definitely funding was a conversation. And that's kind of was the parking thing, where you can't utilize the lot to its best potential, especially when you're building commercials, because you got to get bang for the buck. If the town could assist with parking and detention, that's a massive savings. That's really, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
What were some of the ideas for top parking that were discussed?
Well, one that we're going to do is take a survey. What do we currently have? What's in our wheelhouse now? What do we have for parking? Then the next thing we talked about is, as we look at off-site parking, we start looking at all the side streets that are around, because some of that is commercial on both sides. So what we did out here in Porter, right across the street from Town Hall, that could be emulated in some other areas. So 455 was an example. Parking could be additional parking along the trail could be done there. The house the town is purchasing, that could also be a place for stormwater in the future, but that would allow parking literally all the way up to the parking lot at the park and down the street, because now it would just be all commercial in front of it. So that's really what we're going to look at, examine, because I really do feel like if we look at our areas in town, because we have 80-foot right-of-ways along these areas, I think we can come up with enough parking for downtown to make it make sense. We just got to look at how it's just spaced out and it's not connected, and it's not easy to find. So we need to look at how we can do that to make it more workable.
One of the areas, where Gigi's buildings are by the blinking light, going from there on 455 on the right side, the parking spots aiming in right there. And when you look at it, there's quite a bit of space there to put that in there.
Yeah, you have the county right-of-way there, and the town actually owns land there. We actually have a physical deed to
Yeah,
property.
you could put like 30 right there with no problem.
Yep.
I think the art parking lot parks 36 or 38 cars right now. And so you got that.
And depending on the events, we've seen them park in the park parking lot too. So it's a block away. When you think about it, it's close to some of the businesses, especially as Lakeside develops. That could be a possibility to look at parking along there.
And I'm sure the school will let us park in the front of the school there.
What about the, the property behind Cal's? Who's got that property?
That's ours.
That's the town's.
That's ours?
Yeah.
That's the
That's what I thought.
36 spots.
But we could resurface that, and that would be a nice piece of parking for downtown.
Yeah, we could resurface it if we add stormwater detention underground to it. So
When
that's
we
the thing.
add
So
stormwater
we
detention.
could do
Yes.
streets and not have to do stormwater, but once you do parking.
Well,
But
unless
yeah,
you do what we did here many years ago, and it's all the tanks are underneath the parking lot.
Yep.
And that was 200 grand 15 years ago. It's probably $6 million now.
It's actually some of that technology, believe it or not, has come down in price. They figured out how to do some stuff. So what we're looking at doing at Florence Lake is one of those systems there to handle that water. Probably more 200,000, obviously.
Yeah.
But that would be the idea, that we would have to do underground stormwater in a lot of areas, because we just don't have the land for stormwater. Underground stormwater, then put the parking on top of the stormwater tanks underneath them.
I think as many vehicles as we can get from parking actually on the road, probably the better off it is.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we haven't established spaces,
No,
would
it's
help.
way too early for all that.
No, it's an exciting time. There's some neat opportunities available, and I think we have a group that's really interested at this point. They could see the, I guess they could see at the end of the rainbow kind of thing that there's a good opportunity here to kind of change that face of that downtown look. And I mean, and everybody recognizes the businesses are going to have to be catered. We got to recognize what we are. We're not going to attract things that you're going to find in Mineola and Claremont. It's going to be the specialty things and cool things, which will be adds kind of to the vibe of Montverde. So really trying to attract those smaller, mom and pop restaurant type things and mom and pop service businesses and retail and things along that line. But with that said, council also needs to think about in the code things that they don't want to see downtown and start thinking about that in the code too. Because since our code was last written, vape shops to come around and smoke shops and cigar shops and, you may want that, you may not want that, so we need to also kind of examine that a little bit within our code and make sure that we identify the businesses and clearly, what's allowed there.
What was the lady that showed up she bought the doctor's building? They're from Brazil, I think she said.
Yes.
They're looking to do some stuff with that building.
Yeah, they're gonna, I think, completely rehab the inside of it. They didn't tell us what the final plan was, but they're excited. And they bought the building and they want to invest in the town. They're excited for what the town's going to do. The Cal's kitchen area is possibly going to get redone. We have some empty vacant land that's looking at possibly getting redone. So it's a good opportunity to look at that. Then the other thing,
Cal's kitchen, that's going to happen. 'Cause there's a new
Yes.
owner there too, and they got money, so.
yep, and they'll do that. And something else for the council to consider, it's not in the downtown area, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Just, I've just had an initial conversation, but you may know it or not know it, but, Bella Colina is looking at building a hotel next to the condo. And the county has already provided incentives, several $1 million incentives for it to go. So it's going to happen one way or the other. But there's an advantage if they are willing to annex that hotel itself into the town, just from a tax revenue standpoint, especially if homestead property tax exemptions ever go up. That could be a significant amount of stability for the town in the future. So that's something that, I'm hoping to kind of have a visit with here in the next couple weeks, and I'll probably visit with you guys individually a little bit and just kind of talk a little bit about thoughts and what's going on. But you can Google what's going on there. It's been public in the record. So
I wonder if there's any way they could give us some forecast on their occupancy and give us, a rough idea of what the money will be like. If they were 85% utilization and they're $100 a night hotel, how much does that tax come to us?
I mean, I could lean on Anita a little bit to see if we can find anything like, we currently don't have an occupancy tax for a hotel or a room, do we? Oh, do we? Okay, we don't have it, so I've never used it.
Well, I don't
There you go.
think it is in the town, but the county has it, and then they share their revenue, I think.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
So we could at least find out perhaps what that would look like from the town, or from the county. They may have data on it.
Yeah, that might help the people that are on the wall fence about, hey, do we really want to get involved or not? But the homestead exemption thing happens, we'll lose, what, $300,000-$400,000 right there.
Yep, easily. So yeah, so that property tax would be pretty significant from that, so just something to consider. Obviously I can't get too heavy into it because it'll be a quasi judicial. I'm just kind of throwing that out there, just the initial conversations on that. But good opportunity. So the group's going to continue to meet, and we'll move forward on that. Two more things just on town manager report. Still working with the vision committee on the playground concept. We'll bring that, hopefully we're going to get a kind of a plan. We were getting ready to work with Sourcewell for the bidding because they have some pre-bid playground groups, but I found out, you probably don't remember this, but a year ago I told you to put in a legislative appropriation request for some money for our Kirk Park playground. Well, it made it through committee, and it hasn't made it through the final budget process because it hasn't been approved, but we got $250,000 right now in a legislative appropriation that has a potential possibly making it out in this year's budget, Florida's budget. So I think that was the only thing so far I've seen that made it out of committees. Now, what if the governor vetoes it, or if it, this is the bargaining time when it goes back and forth. So I'll keep you informed if that goes anywhere. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens on that. All right. And
Anita, is there any way you could give us a little update quickly on what's going to go on the ballot for the homestead? Are you up to date on that? I'm not.
I can report at the next council meeting
Okay.
on it. I'm not prepared tonight.
I
but
appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And briefly, I did check on that the other day. Right now, there's nothing I think that has been approved that has come out so far, but I'll have Anita get yeah, I think they're going to do a special session. But they seem to be a lot of infighting on what's going to happen on that, so we'll see how that all plays out. Okay, then last mayor and council, I'd like to share this with you. Dear Mayor Weincoop and members of the town Montverde Council, tongue-tied there, please accept this letter as my formal notice of resignation as your town manager of the town of Montverde. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of Montverde and work alongside such a dedicated town council and staff. Together we built a new library, constructed a new sports court, dedicated a new stage, built a butterfly garden, repaved several roads, increased the budget balance and reserves by over 200% to $7 million, and secured millions of dollars in grants without raising property taxes. In addition, I had the honor of mentoring an excellent group of individuals known as your town hall team. This decision has not been made lightly. After careful consideration, I believe it's the right time for me to pursue the next chapter in my life. I'm committed to a smooth and orderly transition to help and assist in any way that supports the town and its continued success during this period. To that end, I'm providing notice beyond my 30-day requirement under my contract. My effective date of my resignation is September 7th, 2026. However, my last day of office will be June 10th, 2026. I will use my PTO in the interim, but remain available remotely to staff and council during this transition. I want to express my sincere gratitude for the trust and support that I've received during my time in Montverde. It has been both challenging and rewarding experience. I will always value the relationships and accomplishments that came from being Montverde's first town manager. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve the town of Montverde. I wish the council, staff, and community continued success and prosperity, and I do mean that. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Iman, would you hand these out to me?
Do we have all of the phone or something?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what's the, how do we move forward from here?
So my recommendation, and I think Anita's recommendation, would be to hire a search firm. CB and Associates were used last time. I'm not sure if Anita had a chance to reach out to them or not. But they'll do a nationwide or regional search for a new manager based off of the criteria you're looking for and advertise that. And they do the initial screening and kind of go through the applicants for you and then kind of bring you kind of your top group to look over and review. Then you can start doing interviews on those.
You've done a good job in your time here, I'll say that. Everybody understands. Time changes in your life. Yeah, we'll have to get a hold of the headhunter, and Anita probably do that for us, and bring it back to us what they want and all that for the expense. And we start advertising out there in the world, see what comes along.
Is September 7th realistic to find a new candidate?
I'll let Anita.
Yeah, that, usually they're 3 to 4 months process. One of the things that'll be beneficial, the headhunter usually will meet with you each individually and see what what are important traits from your perspective in a town manager, and then they put together kind of a flyer to send out of what you're looking for, and I would recommend that the council as a whole have that come back in front of you so that you can all look at it and talk about it together before it's actually published and put out there. And then they start accepting applications, and those would all come to you to review. And they usually will provide suggestions on, the top 3 or 4 that you may want to interview that they feel are a good fit. But ultimately, you can receive all of those applications and you know, conduct however many interviews that you would like to do.
And then, how does this impact some of the capital projects that we have going on right now, some of the grant projects and everything? Is that transition going to go smoothly, or how's that going to work out?
I don't know. There's obviously a lot of projects that are going on with the town. I guess it just depends on the timing of when you get somebody in. Obviously, you know me personally, and will work to help that transition be smooth and assist the new person getting on board it in whatever way I can. So, and if I will say I do have some flexibility if September 7th 's not drop dead for me. So if the council needs I'm probably not going to come back and do Montverde, but I will assist in kind of helping that person get on board and assist with the, depending on who you have, capital projects. You may get somebody that's great with them. You may have someone that has never done them before. There's a lot of unique different skills with different managers. Every manager, obviously has their areas and strengths and has their weaknesses, and so. Just have to find that balanced approach, but I'll assist in any way I can.
Well, I guess what I would propose is everybody go home and think about it, and we'll, let's see, we're gonna have a special meeting Monday, 19th, you said, right? So maybe we, tack on to that 19th meeting, a discussion about how we wanna move forward when replacing Paul. Does that sound good?
No.
You got another idea?
Yeah, we don't turn him loose.
Well, I don't think we have that choice.
I don't have that choice.
Do you have any
But I
idea,
can have that opinion.
any other ideas as far as how to move forward?
As Anita suggested, a headhunter.
Well, I know, I'm
Send out the
saying,
flyer and-
do you want to talk about it right now, or you want time to think about it?
No, yeah, let's digest it a little bit.
Okay. Brian, do you got any input?
I don't know if getting an interim manager is even an option, because we could only guesstimate that it could take 3 to 4 months to actually find someone, but it could theoretically take longer. So that could be an option. I know some cities are already doing it near us, so.
Okay, well,
I mean, if we get close to that September 7th date, we could look for an interim.
yeah, he's going to be on staff until September 7th. He's going to be on board. So he's given us a chance to all that time to find somebody and hopefully work with him for a month or so. And maybe even, I personally would think that we, if Paul's up to it, we have him do some consulting for us after the manager's hired here to move our grant money forward and not overload the man or woman that's taking his place. But think about it. We just go home, think about it, and come back. It's a lot to digest right now, I would think. Is that okay?
That is,
Okay. Is that all right, Brian?
Sure.
Okay. Grant?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's move on then. Thank you, Paul. What's next? What are we going to do next here? All right, community building update.
And I apologize. I was hoping to have a couple options drawn up for you, but the last 2 weeks have gotten away with me between just being tied up, believe it or not. I will bring this back, and if we have time, maybe on the 19th. But I have a couple options I want to explore with you on the community building. I spent some time over there with John and looked at it, and we've been kind of exploring. We met in the past with a couple of the our contractors to get some thoughts, but looking to see if there's a way, what it's coming down to. If we want to keep the existing building, the kitchen needs to come off and be rebuilt. Do we rebuild what's there, rebuild it bigger, or rebuild it bigger with another kind of community building hooked to the old building if you want to keep the other one and keep the old one in the process? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Depending on what you do, it possibly could be run with impact fees. If you're just replacing what's there, it's just going to be general fund. So there's some money considerations that we need to look at. because, you know, general funds were more limited, and we actually have more money in impact fee funds because we actually funded for expansions of community building space. So just kind of digest and think that it's actually, I wouldn't mind if you have some time in the next week or two and you give me a text or a call, and I wouldn't mind just walking and physically kind of showing you kind of some layouts that would work there, and I'll try to get some diagrams. I think it would help you kind of see what's going on in that building. So if you have the time to do that, I think that would just help the conversation, and then we can decide how to move forward on that, because it's been sitting out there for a couple of years, and at least like to kind of get that started for the town, or at least get it going in the right direction, if it's a priority for the council.
Yeah, I would recommend it. I went with John and Paul, and we went and looked at it, and I don't want to tell you what the ideas are, but I would recommend you guys go walk it with them, so everybody's on the same page about the different ideas when we talk about it. All right, thank you. What's next? Irrigation controls.
Well, this one's an easy one. So under our CUP, we have to start doing things to encourage water savings. St. John's gave us, and this is going to go back to 9 months ago, they gave us a mini grant at a 50% match to purchase irrigation controllers, what Smart Star controllers are. And so we have 5,000 from them, and the town is supposed to pitch in 5,000. And the direction I would like to go, looking at what you can get for 10,000, the controllers are about 140 a piece. But there's a different scenarios where how they would let you use the grant money. What makes the most sense in mind, just for staff and time and for the little amount that's done, the option where the town will just purchase the controllers, which would be about 80 controllers. We would make them available to people in the community that has old sprinkler box controllers. So this is for their irrigation controllers. All they need to do is take a picture of their old controller, bring it in, and we will give them a new controller. And after they install that new controller, then they need to take a picture of that and bring it back to us. So the only thing we would have them do is just sign a little agreement or document I was going to have Anita put together that just state, if you don't bring us a picture of the new controller installed within 30 days, then we're going to have to charge the cost of the controller to your water bill, because we won't get reimbursed for that water controller. So I want to just make sure if everybody's just okay with that general concept before we go out, and we need to get it done because they expect that to be done actually in the next month or two.
What's the difference in the controllers? I'm not understanding that.
So I actually have one of the new smart controllers on my house, and a general controller, you set the time. Some of them have rain gauges, some don't. Depends if your wire gets unhooked. What the smart controller does is it has an app on your phone, and it actually hooks up to your internet in your house, and it's usually on the Wi-Fi. And so what it does is, if it's going to rain that day, on mine, I got it set where if it rains, it won't water that night. Or if it just rains like 20% or a small percentage or a quarter of an inch of rain after it sees that, it'll actually cut my controller time down so it doesn't water as much. So it actually looks at physical weather reports from the weather station to adjust your time. And then you have a lot of controls and settings where you can do a lot of programming on your phone. And the app's pretty easy to use. If you run any app on a smartphone, it's a really easy app to use. So that's it. It's just water saving. So if it's raining, your controller's going to say, there's rain in the forecast. I'm not going to set it off today.
This is only for irrigation?
Just irrigation, yeah. Versus just, the old controllers, when it rains, the sprinklers are going.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. What do you guys think?
And this keeps St. John's happy with our conditional use, or our consumptive use permit?
It's one of the many requirements. So we're getting closer. I met last week with our engineer working on the CP. They have everything ready to submit. They're just going through and kind of fine tuning the documents, and they've been communicating back and forth with St. John's. And so I'm hoping by June we'll have our permit in hand. It sounds like we're on the wrap up now. They're asking for wrap up stuff at this point.
I think you may have mentioned roughly how many people in town that would affect. What was the number?
We can afford 80 of them with the grant. And honestly, if it's wildly successful, just for water conservation, I mean, we do have the cash account reserves. We can allocate another group purchase of them. If we're overrun with people, I can bring that back to council and see if you want to purchase another group of them, because that, again, would be looked very favorable by St. John's as well.
Thank you.
Is there any requirement for new homes constructed to have these controllers on them?
They're actually, I believe, required now under the building codes to have them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, more applicable, obviously, if you had a system and, you know, if you have an old dial thing on yours and a big latch, that's probably one that will be replaced.
Brian, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Carol? All righty, I guess we're all for it.
Okay, that's all I need. I just want a consensus. So.
Update of town projects. Here we go.
Sure. Just a couple. This will be fairly quick. I just want to give you an update on the Osgood project. I guess I should say AK Osgood. It's now called the Point of Montebello. Just so you know. We have completed their review and turning in their final development plan, their engineering plans. There's a couple conditions on there, just some minor stuff, just clearing up some title stuff and some encroachments that we're working on. And they'll be ready once they're get their final stuff to us, which is so we're waiting on their performance bond. There's a couple little things they'll get to us. We'll be able to issue a permit for construction for the mass grade and for utility construction. So that probably likely will come sometime in June, is when that permit will be issued, once we get the bond and everything in place with them. So just kind of just a heads up on that. Once the permit is issued under our PUDs and our conditions, within 30 days of me issuing that permit, they'll make their first $500,000 payment to the town for the road and sidewalks improvement. That encompasses 8th, 9th, and Temple Street. So that will be incoming, just a heads up on that. Montverde Estates, been communicating with them. They're within probably 2 weeks or so of turning in their engineering plans to us. And so we'll start that review process with them as well to get that one reviewed. The sidewalk is progressing on Fosgate Road right now. So if you've driven down Fosgate, you probably saw. So there's actually kind of cut in on half of it. So we're working to hopefully get that done. I think they may actually be pouring concrete next week on the first part of it. On a couple of things on the grants, as I told you, on the 2 Shafi grants, we are still going back and forth with DEP. The water one is moving, I think, in a positive direction. We've engaged Congressman Webster's office, Trunau's office, Yorkowski's office, myself and Scott Shannon have escalated up to the department heads at DEP, and they've been very good at working with us, and I appreciate their time. You know, I think their goal is to help us get there too on all these things. It sounds like some of the pressure still is coming from EPA, and that's kind of why we engage Webster's office. And again, the issue is coming down. They have asked for physical damage from the hurricane, but the legislation in the grant plan does not state physical damage. It says loss of function or impact from hurricane. So we're still having that argument back and forth. So right now it's in EPA's hands. As soon as I get some feedback on that, I'll let you know. But they did ask us to update the facility water plan with some more information that we gathered, even though that plan's already approved. I did confirm all the engineering that we done. At least they shook their heads all yes. That all the engineering that's been done on the water system, all that definitely is still going to be reimbursable because we have an improved facility plan. In the meantime, on both of those projects, in that conversations that we've had with DEP, they encouraged us to apply during the next cycle that they have for their other grant cycles that are different types of funding grants that are more kind of half state, half federal, not all federal. They told us we will fare very well because our facility plan's done, our plan's done, and they know the issues going on, so they felt like we would, just because where we're at in the status, we are ready to build, that we would fare fairly well in the rankings. So that has already started out there, and of course I told you at the last meeting that started with, we put a 4.5 million appropriation request in for the water system on the federal level too for this next federal budget cycle. So I'll have all that kind of obviously put together, and it'll be working through the system, but we should have some answers really in the next 30 to 45 days. But I just want you to know I'm on top of it. It has been consuming a lot of my time because what I'm not telling you is the lots of pages of letters going back and forth and documentation and working back and forth, so it has been pretty time consuming to kind of get through all that, but it's working. It's working through the process. And last, I just want to say we're starting to think about hurricane season around the corner. So we have some hurricane preparedness stuff coming up, and we're going to work on starting to get our generator replaced at well number 1. So that's kind of high on our list. You remember we got the grant for that, so we're working through to get a spec. So we're actually going to have to bid it because it's federal money. Unfortunately, we're going to do the whole bid process, but we'll try to get that out the door here in the next 30 to 45 days so we can get that bid and hopefully in place before the season hits. That's all I have on updates on town projects, and I'll obviously give the normal update ones at the regular council meeting.
Just real quickly, anything you can add in regards to the firehouse? Where they are with that?
Yeah, it's progressing well, as you can see. So they're still, last I was told a few weeks ago, they're still looking at a spring opening date, if all goes well, if nothing stands in the way. The county, when we talked about the water, doing the water extension or shared cost, the county's putting together an intergovernmental agreement for both of us to sign, so that'll come for council. Probably won't be at this meeting, but I might have it by the 19th meeting for you too, so I'll add that on there so we can get that done and get that water line extension done. But yeah, so we're looking at spring for the firehouse, and it's moving along pretty good out there. I think the contractors have done a fairly good job out there working through it, so.
I agree.
Oh,
Spring of 27?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not this spring, next spring. Oh, and on another little note, as you know, they're building, the Ferndale's in the process of building that tower. They've been using our boat ramp. I mean, if you've driven by there, you can know that. The people doing it are the ones that, the park in Howing Hills that's on Lake Harris, there, the big huge one with the boat ramps. Oh, what's that park called? Right there off of Howard.
Hickory Point.
Hickory Point. I'm not sure if you've ever gone there. They got like 6 or 8 docks there. But the firm that won that contract over there is the firm that's doing the Ferndale. And I actually went down to Hickory Point and met with them to look at their boat docks because they build the concrete docks and they do the whole docks that go up. And they're going to put a price together to replace the part in the concrete part down into the water for us. In their words, they can give us a heck of a deal because while they're working on Ferndale, they already have all their dewatering equipment there. They have their heavy equipment there. They got everything they need to do, so they won't have to restage everything. So I don't know what a heck of a deal looks like. So as soon as I get that, I'll bring that back to council. In addition to that, we did put in a grant for Lake County Water Authority for, I think we did $250 on that for the boat dock. And we also put in a grant with the Florida Fish and Wildlife for $450,000 for the boat dock. So the thought is, you got the concrete section, but if we can get those 2 grants, we can actually put a little pier out there where they can tie the boats when they put the boats out, and actually do some big stormwater improvements there as well. If we get those, which will make it a little bit safer for everybody. So I'll keep you advised when those. Actually those we'll probably know by July, so pretty quickly if we'll get those.
Thank you.
All righty, that's it. Anybody want to ask any more questions on workshop discussions? Okay, we'll move on to resolution 2026-10. If you would please, Anita, read that.
So I'm reading the same resolution that was considered and approved by council at the last meeting, but it's the contract revisions that we wanted you to look at and approve. It's resolution 2026-10, a resolution of the town council of the town of Montverde Florida, approving the as-is residential contract for sale and purchase between the Church Montverde Incorporated and the Town of Montverde to acquire the real property located at 17348 Division Street, Montverde, Florida, authorizing the town manager to execute the closing documents, providing for an effective date.
They're telling me there's no voice on the online thing.
So I know it's not coming from our end, so Jay, can you take a look at that, if anything's?
Is that the UPS? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
That's okay. I can tell you the changes that I made from the last contract. So on the first page, I changed the date for acceptance by the parties to May 7th, 2026. Since we're having the meeting tonight, that would give a couple days for the parties to sign it. On page 11 of 13, I checked the box for lead paint disclosure because the house was constructed before 1978. I added the Town of Montverde, Florida over its signature line on page 13, and the same for the Church at Montverde Incorporated. And then I added on the next page, you'll see the actual lead-based paint disclosure addenda, and I added the seller's property disclosure for residential properties to be completed by the parties. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
And just so you know, Jay just texted me, the issue is it's not coming across on YouTube, but it is coming across on South Lake TV.
Oh, okay.
So, not sure.
So I'll tell these people that.
There's a typo in the resolution. The first whereas, it says the church as Mount Verde as.
I do have, I guess, so for the Rider P, the lead base, shouldn't, I guess, we see this filled out by the church and the seller's property disclosure? I get it, you know, they can fill it out, but I guess, wouldn't it just be better for us to actually see it filled out versus just blank?
I believe I emailed you guys the filled out one.
I never received anything.
Well, now he told me when I was there that he never lived in it and he didn't understand the building that well enough to do a seller disclosure.
Yeah, well, if it's the property owner, and they didn't live in it, they still have knowledge as to, because I'm sure if there's a leak, they had to fix it, they had to pay for it, so they have knowledge. So, that's just my opinion.
Well, the guy that's managing it now, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, that guy just recently took over because the church went through a whole change. And what's that lady who was coming here singing or doing the prayer a couple of times? Sharon, I think her name was. Sherry. She was the new, I guess they say, pastor, and that was probably 3 months ago. And the old one and all those people have left, and these people took it over. They're from Claremont, so I don't know. We could ask them to fill it out, but when we talked about it, because I had mentioned that to him, and he said that he didn't know anything about the house previously. I actually did talk to the people that used to live there about a year ago, and asked them about the septic tank and if they ever had any septic issues, and they said no. So that was the only thing I really asked about, was the disclosure.
I have the signed contract in my office. You like, I could have Iman run a few copies real quick. I thought I emailed it to everybody. I'm checking my outbox to see if it actually went out.
Yeah.
Iman, I think it's sitting on my, it's the contract sitting on my conference table there at the end. If you want to check that, it probably has a staple on it, so just, run 5 copies.
And if they don't have knowledge, then there is a column for them to check that they don't know, but we do need them to complete it and sign off on it.
Yeah, I would say the more information, the better, since we're not doing any inspections on it, so buyer beware.
No, I agree.
Councilmember Carroll, I have a question for you. Obviously, you were absent at the last meeting, which we had this on the agenda. I guess, like, do you have any thoughts on this purchase?
Yeah, actually I do. Didn't real, I picked up my packet and, actually I think somebody dropped off in there, but, I did have a couple of questions for Paul. I reached out to him twice. I also did have the opportunity, probably the people before, the residents that were there prior, I reached out to them. They had no issues with the house. So, my mic is on. Yep, you good?
Move it closer.
So yeah, reached out to other previous residents and they had no issue with it. Does that address your question?
Well, I was just wondering, like, do you think this is a good idea, or?
I do believe buying property is a good idea. I think the fact that it's adjacent to the downtown area is a plus. It's right near the park. I can see uses for the house going forward. First aid station for various events, maybe a cooling station for concerts, whatever, when it gets hot. I can see uses for it. I can see additional parking for it. And it's right there adjacent to the park. So it's, in my mind, it's foolish not to pick it up while we can.
I just want to make sure that obviously you had the same information that we all did from last meeting. So at the last meeting, we don't know the septic tank age, the drain field, the electrical. We don't know any of that. Obviously, we're not doing a inspection of any sort. We're also not doing any appraisals. I guess this deal came about just between the mayor and Paul and the church, so I didn't have any idea of it. So I don't know if that's the same scenario for you.
I was aware of it when I picked up my packet and looked at it.
And last but not least, I get it that there could be many uses, but the staff analysis stated that it's for public works and utility operations.
I can see where public works and utilities could have an advantage of it.
But I'm just saying, I just don't want you to, I guess, be under the misconception that we're going to use it for other stuff. I mean, that's what, I guess, the reasoning is for us to purchase this property is for public works and utility operations. So, but that's it. I just want to, make sure that obviously you're on the same page as all of us.
Do you have an issue with the purchase of it?
I do. Well, I requested to table this and, possibly get inspections and possibly get an appraisal and, kind of go that route. But, obviously it didn't pass. And at this point, this resolution is for the closing of it. So it's already in motion. So,
It is.
but just wanted to make sure that, all the council members are on the same, I guess, page.
Again, I don't think that purchasing property, even if there was not even a building on it, I'd still vote in favor of it.
I don't have anything else.
Did the church plan on selling the property regardless? And we should just be thankful that they reached out to us first? Or were they only interested in selling it to us?
They reached out to me and they would like to see it stay in the town and be used for use because of the history of the church. The church has been there longer than the town. And so they wanted to make sure it was a use that would be beneficial to the community. And, obviously I have the uses in there, but, just as you think back, if you recall, I know every council member's walked around Montverde. We, every year we block off their driveway to that church and we set up the tents in the front yard there, which is technically town right away, but we do it partially in the grass there. And so that would kind of give us an opportunity. And also we're always needing some additional parking. So even though it may be used for public works and water utilities, it's the front of it, we're going to put some parking spots in there that would be beneficial to the park as it goes. I mean, the long-term value and where I see it is just honestly the land. We just don't have a lot there by the park, and kind of we took the butterfly garden or made the butterfly garden, made something special. This is going to have a long-term beneficial. Now there's even the backyard can be used for some of the water detention for downtown, why we still utilize the house, use the parking in the front, so I could really see it just benefiting. There's just not a whole, there's not a whole lot of pieces, and as the town grows, and I think all the councils talked about this in the past, yeah. No, there should be a typed one in there. I think I handed it to you, or a copy of you. Yeah, you got it. Just, long term, you look at the pieces around the park, there's not going to be a lot of space left in Montverde. We're semi-landlocked. So just kind of when those things pop up, there's a few other pieces of property that would make sense for the town as well in the future. But this really goes back to direction from the council from probably 3 or 4 years ago. Even before that, as we've talked about, as this property comes available and it's in our range in that area, we're not going to have very many opportunities to pick those pieces up. So, in fact, even the council before the Hardin property developed, the council talked about, boy, I wish there was a way we could figure out how to get that piece of property just for the park in the town, because we needed room for parking for Montverde back then. And at the time we only had $3.5 million in the bank, not what we have now, so it just wasn't even feasible to purchase that type of property.
Yeah, there's a couple other pieces. The one next to this house, if you're looking at it from the community building, the house to the right, where Johnny's parents live, the guy Johnny, I like that'd be good to buy, because that would take care of that. And then the blue house back here by the by the basketball court, I think the town needs that one too to finish that whole square. And that was pretty much it at the moment. But we already got a hold of the owner of the blue house and more or less tried to see if he was interested in it. But he isn't interested in selling it. He's making money off rental. And Johnny's parents, they're going to probably pass away there, so that's 20 years from now. But, all right, so what do we need to do here, Anita?
We're running some copies real quick of we're running some copies of the signed contract. If you can give us 5 minutes, Mayor, we'll get those to everybody if they want to see them.
What are we going to do with the signed contract? I'm not sure why we're doing that.
I think Mr. Rubio wanted to look at the lead disclosure and the disclosure section real quick.
I thought it was the seller disclosure you wanted.
Or seller, yes.
Neither of them were, at least in this packet, they weren't filled out. I never received anything.
Yeah, and I apologize. I scanned it and I thought it went out, but it must be in my outbox. Because after I got it, we signed it after the packets went out. So that same day, I thought I sent it to everybody, but
So you have a seller disclosure completed?
Yeah, so it's coming.
Completed it? Oh, good.
Which is
Okay.
fine, but I guess in respect to time, we could just move forward. I think at this point, it doesn't make any difference.
No, not really. All right, you all right with moving forward? Brian, you all right?
Sure.
Okay. Grant, you okay?
Brian, did you get the chance, did you look at the house?
No.
Are you okay moving forward? All right, let's do it and finish this. All right, should I open it up to the public, Nita? Okay. Anybody want to talk about it? Come on up. Thank you.
Joe Morganelli, 16535 Highland Avenue. I have a bunch of things, I guess. First of all, I know we've had our ups and downs and everything, but swallowing. All right. There. Is this better? Can you guys hear me now? All right. All right. Paul, I know we had our ups and downs. I wish you the best of luck. I didn't think you'd be the first one to actually resign, though, to be honest. So I had a whole bunch of things I was going to talk about here, but as the mayor said, this is pretty much a done deal. So I don't have anything to add to it. I think all of you guys should take your time and think about what you guys are doing. I think you guys should all have I think you all should have looked at the building prior to the binders coming to the last meeting. And you weren't here for that one, so but I asked, and you were not afforded the same that the mayor was, just to go and look at the building. So as I always said, you know, we're supposed to be a team. It's not. It's a team of two, but we're now a team of one.
I didn't ask to look at the building because I'm familiar with the home. I've been in it many times. So,
I-
yeah,
it-
I didn't.
From my understanding, it wasn't offered to you, though. It wasn't offered to anybody else.
He offered it to me and I went and did it.
To you, correct. I know. Well, yes.
He didn't offer you to walk with you?
I said I didn't need a walkthrough because I was familiar with the house.
Okay. Well, they didn't for those two.
I mean,
Okay.
I had the option.
Oh, okay. Well, you did. They did not know.
Well, I asked for it.
And I would say council packets go out on Thursday. Council can call me at any time on anything on the packet and meet with me and discuss and look at anything. They all have the opportunity to do it. So the contract was literally put together right before the meeting, so it was an opportunity. And they have the option to table the contract, look at it. They have an option to do whatever they want to do. Again, the contract is contingent upon council approval, so it's only a done deal until the council says it's a done deal.
It's pretty obvious it was a done deal. Like with the last meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it came up in conversation. I said, I'm not going to go for the walkthrough. I'm familiar with it. Talked to
I mean,
Linda and Arnie.
It just, again, I'm now on this side of everything, and as I've said from that side as well, it's supposed to be a team of five. It's supposed to be a team. It's not. I mean, it's just not. And I know we can go back and forth, but it's the appearance of that. It's just appearance. So,
Well, there's two people that work in real estate on this council, so I'm sure that they're familiar with the opportunity that if you want to go walk through a house, you can go walk through a house.
right, but one was afforded that ability, the other one, I believe, wasn't. Right?
Yeah, but, Councilmember Carroll, you're missing the point. This was a done deal way before it even came to the agenda. It was already a deal cut, a contract signed. Yes, it was contingent on the vote of the council, but I think that's where the issue starts.
Well, it's not actually a done deal till the council vote on it.
Yeah, it's not a done deal until the council voted. You can sign a contract and put a house under contract, but you gotta execute it by the time it's supposed to be executed. And they brought it to council, we voted on it, it was done. I don't know why you guys keep harping on that.
I guess rewatch the meeting again, I guess, because it was a little
Watch
pretty
the meeting
obvious.
all you want. I don't know why, the contract was, it was under contract till it got to council, the council voted on it. It's done.
Okay, the last question I didn't get an answer at the last meeting was in reference to impact fees. How much of impact fees are being used for this?
I still haven't reviewed the final numbers. I'll have to get with our person that does their impact fees. So probably in the 75% range.
I mean, shouldn't you guys know how much you're using for impact fees before you sign everything?
Oh, I did,
I'm sorry?
I did. I asked for the money, what money we were gonna use.
But you don't have an answer though. He doesn't. I mean, so that's I guess that's what I'm asking. Because like we don't. You guys are moving forward with it all, but you don't know even how much impact fees you're using for this.
I mean,
I
we're going to
do.
do as much as legally we can use impact fees for. So it's a more of a legal question on that.
I mean, if you. All right, I'm good. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody else got something?
And just to be, nothing to do with you, you're good. Just to be clear, and Mr. Rubio, I heard your point, but you need to understand when just the way open records work and meetings work, it's very hard for a council to do anything and still have it be semi-confidential. Because the issue is if I come to council and say, hey, they want to sell this house, this is what they're offering it, you're interested in me putting a contract together, well, now that's all public, they want to sell the house, and, you know, maybe Mr. Peacock wants to go offer him $450,000. Don't know. You know, that's why you have a town manager. So the town manager gets the directions, whether it be from strategic plans, past discussions, and that's why it's written in the way it says. So I can bring a contract for you where you have you could still walk away from that contract up to the meeting. You can walk away from now because it has that option in there that this is contingent with council approval. And I was very clear, you know, that I sign this. I have the authority to enter the contract and give it to you, but the contract's not valid till council approves it. And it's the quagmire of being a public official. And I can't even go out there and say, will you vote for this? Do you want this? Because if I do that back and forth, we're creating a public hearing under the Sunshine Law. So these things are, and this is the same way it worked with the butterfly garden. Unfortunately or fortunately, love it or hate it, but as you know, with real estate, if something's a good deal and, you know, you kind of want to get it locked up before it gets out there, because what council probably doesn't know, this property is actually zoned commercial, so it has some commercial opportunities there that probably would affect its real estate value or its future value, especially if we start making changes that I mentioned to our codes. So just throwing that out there. It's not that we're trying to work or do anything behind the line. It's just it's the way the system is set up. It's very hard to do it any other way.
Anita, would you do me a favor and read in the comment additional 20, the second part, out loud so it's on record?
What
It's
section,
on
Mayor? I'm
page
sorry.
12. Page 12, number 20, second paragraph.
The purchase contract is contingent upon the approval of the majority of the members of the town council at their next regular meeting held on May 5th, 2026. If the majority of the Montverde Town Council chooses not to vote in favor of the purchase of the property, this contract shall be null and void, and all deposits and funds shall be returned to the town of Montverde.
There it is. All right. I'm not trying to be difficult.
Sorry, I'm not clear what, there it is, what? What? You said there it is, like, I'm just confused as to what are you referring to? I know she read that, but what?
I just want, well, you know what it reads, but a lot of people don't have the contract to hear what it reads. So I wanted to be on record that the contract says what Anita just read, that the council had to approve it today. And if they didn't, then it was null and void. There was no contract, there was no purchase. That's why I asked her to read that. All right, well, what do we need to do, to vote on it? Oh, come on up, I'm sorry. Go for it.
Jim Peacock, 16549 Lowry Road. Real quick, Paul, when is your last day? I missed that on the red, on the.
June 10th will be my last day in office, but I'll be working until September 7th with staff and remotely.
Thank you for all the hard work, and sorry to see you go. I'm not sure, what's the cost of the house?
$350.
$350. That sounds like a good deal to me. How is it to be paid for? Where's the money coming from?
A big portion of it is coming from the waterfront impact fees.
Okay. These are impact fees from developers?
Yes,
Okay. We have that much money in that?
yes.
Okay. From what I understand then, it has to be used
I
for
think-
water purposes of some kind?
Yeah,
Public Works, right?
Public Works water.
Public works, water?
Yeah, so it'll probably be proportioned out between water impact fees and administrative impact fees, because they both qualify under those, and we'll use them for, then administrative does work for public works facilities, offices, businesses, and the water does work for the office, utilities, storage related to that. I just have to sit down and break out the percentage of what each would be utilizing that for, then clarify there's not really gonna be any other major use that would make it unqualified for any of those two impacts. So I just need to do that analysis and go through the impact fee to see how that's going to be quantified is all dues. But the majority of it, if not all of it, the majority of it will pretty well come out of impact fees.
Okay. Well, that was my question. How are we going to meet that requirement? But you got that. Okay. From what I recall too, the impact fees have to be returned in a certain time if they're not used. Is that correct?
What is that, Anita, 2 or 3 years?
I'd have to pull the statute, but there's a period of time you should be redoing your impact fees and spending them. Yeah, so I'd have to get the exact date out of the statute.
Well, I didn't know if we were up to that on the water, some of the water impact fees.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
We're getting close.
Yeah,
But how does that work exactly? When a developer pays an impact fees, does the clock start, and then if it's not used in that amount of time, it goes back to them? Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, I have a couple of rental houses out there, and I got paid back money that somebody else paid on impact fees from a city. Didn't know
Because
why
it didn't get used?
they didn't use it in time, and I got the money.
And again, it has to be used for public utilities, is that correct? Water impact fees?
So the impact fees would have to be used in accordance with what's in the impact fee study within relevance, and it's the same with building permit fees. So water impact fees has, you know, anything related to the operations, you know, water tower, water lines, et cetera, wells, things along that line.
Okay.
Engineering services, admin is strictly related to offices and buildings and libraries.
Well, I sure don't want to give any impact fees back to any of these developers, that's for sure. So I would, that sounds like a good price. I would recommend purchasing the house.
All right.
And one other thing, it feels like a refrigerator back there. Is anybody else cold? Why do we have to keep it down so low? I know that's got to be running the power bill up.
It's hot up here.
Or is it just hot in that seat?
It's definitely warm over here. That's funny. All righty, well, if it's all right with you guys, we'll go ahead and, anybody else? Okay, bring it back to council, and it looks like we're all set to vote on a resolution, unless somebody wants, Brian, you have anything you want to talk about?
I don't have anything additional.
Okay, Carol?
You want the motion?
Grant? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if anybody want to make some motion one way or the other on this one.
I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution 2026-10 as presented.
Second.
I got a first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against, say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Alrighty. And let's see what else we got here. And that's it. And we're going to have a meeting next Tuesday, regular council meeting.
Yes, sir.
And on the 19th, we're going to have a meeting.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
Alrighty. That's about it. Appreciate you all spending time here tonight. Have a good day. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Nay. Ayes have it.